Hello and welcome to Sasquatch Talk. My name is Bradley Valentine. Today we're on episode 16. It is March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. So if you're living in Chicago, you got that Green River. Don't drink the water regardless. Anyways, we are the owners of Sasquatch Gun Oil. Today we're here to talk to you about recycling. Maybe some myths, maybe some facts you didn't know. At the top right of your screen, you got Dan Adams. At the bottom, you've got Troy Miller, the three of us. We own and operate Sasquatch Gun Oil. Check yours out. See, Troy's got some right there. Check yours out at sasquatchgunoil.com. And today we're talking about recycling. So I have a little bit of an icebreaker for you guys. And it's just a quick question. It's a little quiz. How much trash does the average American produce every year? That's the question. Troy, I'll start with you. What's your guess? Just throw out a general number. What do you think?
The average
American.
One American, so
Yeah.
not a household, but one person.
Right.
I don't know, 1,000 pounds maybe a year.
Okay. Dan, what's your
Are we?
I don't know.
So we're talking weight or volume?
weight? So like Troy
Weight.
guessed 1,000 pounds, so that's good to get.
Oh yeah,
That might be a
way
undercount.
way over 1,000. I'm figuring
Yeah.
365 times roughly on average 20. I'm gonna go with on average because there's always higher and lower, right?
Right,
There's
right.
the
That's what average is.
people that are, wiping out the Walmart bags to reuse them, that they don't have in Oregon anymore.
Or in Colorado, yep.
I'm gonna go with a ton.
So 2,000 pounds?
2,000 pounds.
Okay. Dan, you're pretty close. It's between 1,700 and 1,800 pounds. So not too bad. So
Down here in the South, it's probably closer to 3, but
so a lot of trash. You know what I noticed? Like every once in a while, Carrie and I get in like a 2 to 3 day rut where we don't have a lot of groceries and we eat out a lot. And I'll like have taken out the trash like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, what happened? And Carrie's like, we didn't get groceries. So we kept getting like trash on top of trash. And it's just a funny anecdote.
yeah, you get your food wrapped in trash.
Right,
So you can carry
exactly.
it.
All right, so that'll just start us off around 1,700 to 1,800 pounds per American every year in trash. Dan, you have another question for us. I'll throw it to you to ask a question to the
I do.
audience.
Because this episode is on recycling, right? Which is going to highlight some of our business model. You would think, Brad, you have 2 cans, right? A trash bin and a recycling bin.
Right.
And then Troy, you also have a trash bin and a recycling bin.
Nope, just trash. No recycling.
Just a trash bin.
Except unless you count that Oregon 10-cent bottle thing. We do have a small trash can that we put in.
For turning in your cans and bottles, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But
that's recycling-ish. But that requires you to sort it,
exactly.
right?
And yeah, and so it's
And
just,
you're doing all the labor of dealing with the moldy beer smell at the recycling place, or do you drop it off at the bottle drop?
yeah, no, we don't drop it off. We have to deal with that nasty scent. But we'll take one big load like once a year, so instead of just
Once
bringing
a
one
year?
back. Yeah, we don't go very often. And
All right.
there's no beer. It's just Coke cans, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, so I used to tell my coworkers, hey, if you don't want to separate your party bags, just put them in the back of my truck.
Yeah.
And so I'd get like 3 or 4 cans every Monday, or 3 or 4 bags every Monday. So
Oh,
we'd
wow.
probably go once a week with the kids, and I'd have the kids do it, and then go get like a coffee, because you can't live in the Pacific Northwest and not drink coffee.
Yeah. Speaking. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, my kids have been drinking coffee since they could drink, fluid. So, but yeah, so one thing that I learned being there in Klamath Falls is I thought that you put your recyclables, right? Your paper and your plastic And not
Glass.
glass. No,
Mm.
not glass. If you read the top of those bins, no glass in Oregon. You have to take glass up to the landfill to get it recycled, which doesn't actually get recycled up there. I was up there throwing some stuff out after doing a reno, and they had this big giant cage full of glass. And they backed this truck up. First, the bulldozer moved some stuff, and then they dump it. And I'm like watching this. I'm like, that's weird. That's how they recycle glass here. All right, this is cool. I want to see this happen. Right. So they dump it out, and then they run the bulldozer over it a bunch of times, and then he drops the blade and pushes dirt right back over the top of it. And like, so I flagged the dude down because I'll talk to anybody. And I'm like, hey man, how you getting that glass back? Like, what's the deal? And he's like, back? And I'm like, yeah, like how you like people, there's that big giant glass bin down at the front. There's like cardboard, glass, plastic for like all your HDPE stuff. And he's like, no, they just bring it here and we smash it and just bury it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not recycling. He's like,
Nope.
you're right. Keen observation.
Yeah.
So like there's this big premise. So then that prompted me to look into a bunch of different places like, well, what happens with this and what happens with that? And like it's basically a big ruse to make you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is pretty wild.
That single stream recycling, I think, is a big part of it because the whole idea is you just throw everything that could be recycled into one pile,
Right.
and someone sorts it later. And there's no way of guaranteeing any of it gets sorted. It's just like you were saying, Dan, it gets buried, it gets crushed, it gets destroyed, shredded, something, and it gets buried.
Well, I know when we filed our SOSIP, right? Our what would you call it? The umbrella part of our company.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
We have growing up in the 80s, you heard reduce, reuse, recycle, Brad. I'm sure you heard it a lot in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were still chanting that in the 90s and in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So, they said all this, and then it was kind of like when you believe something happens, right? Like when you're a kid and you think Santa Claus is real and then it gets crushed. That's like, unfortunately, my kids have destroyed that for a lot of families out there about believing in Santa Claus or not, So whenever there's a thing that you thought was a certain way, and then you learn that it's not that way, it like taints your world vision just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So having been at the dump, I like really delved in. I'm like, maybe it's just because we're, people say, oh, Clamtucky or Clampett Falls, or, they have all these creative nicknames for a wildly red part of an otherwise blue state.
Sure.
And I thought, well, maybe it's just because these guys hate Portland so much that they refuse to even recycle. They're like, we'll show them.
Yeah.
So then we were down here in Florida, and I started reading through other stuff, which made me start looking through a bunch of other things. And if your greasy pizza box is in with other paper recycling material, everything in that area of the conveyor, when it goes through the sorting, that all goes into trash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if your neighbor painstakingly sorted and only threw out greasy pizza boxes, right? So they had no grease. When your bag and their bag makes it to the sorting center and they get ripped open and poured out, if their paper lands on your greasy pizza box, that all gets pushed into the trash.
I think let's go more specific because I feel like some people might be listening to this and be like, well, Dan's got some anecdotes, and like, let's throw out some real numbers because this is what could be surprising. If you think about plastic waste, and plastic is the big one because everyone knows it takes like 10,000 years for plastic to biodegrade or whatever, right? And so that's like the big one. That's what everyone wants to throw away or wants to recycle. And you see like plastic bottles, they got the little recycling symbol on them. So you're like, oh, it either has been recycled or is recyclable. Around anywhere from, depending on the year of the data, and this comes from the EPA, in 2021, EPA data showed around 5 to 6% of your plastic was recycled. In 2018, it was a little bit of a higher number, around 8.7% per the EPA. What happens is a lot of that plastic either goes into the landfill, it gets burned, or it gets sold to third world countries. So
who haven't bought that plastic in about 10 years.
What do you mean?
So somebody was telling me that Portland, all our plastic got shipped up to Portland, put on a boat,
yeah,
and then shipped out, right?
Yeah.
When I was looking to get a job in the garbage industry, excuse me, because of our business, right? So let me rewind a little bit. With the plastic recycling, there's more than 6 different companies worldwide, 3 in the US, that plastic is a petroleum product for those folks that don't know. It's made from oil pumped out of the ground. Well, there's companies that take that plastic and there's a wide, so those numbers are like 1 through 7 on that little triangle you're talking about. And that talks about the different kinds of plastic: polypropylene, high density polyethylene, low density polyethylene. Those are all just names for the different levels of plastic and where they come from, right?
Yeah.
But they all come from petroleum. So what they found out is you can mix a large amount of those numbers together and you can distill them down into naphtha, gasoline, and diesel. So you can recycle those and capture them into a liquid fuel that you can burn to go collect those recycling products, right? So I was wanting to go formulate a talking paper, basically, to go talk to the landfill, to talk to one of those companies, and to come into Oregon, right? Thinking like, all right, Portland has a pretty good reputation for being wild and crazy and, you know, tree hugging hippies and pot smoking tree hugging hippies and mushroom ingesting tree hugging hippies, you know. I'm like, surely these guys care about the environment, right? I went to 3 different landfills and was like, hey, would y'all be interested in starting a program where all your plastic gets collected? And they all said no. It's going to cost too much money. It's too labor intensive. It'll slow down their trash collection. And it's not feasible in their mind. Just not feasible. And then they said, like, they still get glass in with all their other recycling stuff, which means it can't go to the sorting facility because those guys will get, you know, glass shards and all kinds of stuff in their hands.
Yeah.
And like, because they're not mechanically separated, they're separated by people. So it throws in a whole nother layer. But where I was going with all of that is that I thought that these landfills would be like, yes, that's a good solution, and it'll get us more space in our landfill for the crap that, you know, biodegrades or whatever. No.
So
not one
what
of them.
does this have to do with, I was saying that it gets sold to different countries, and you said,
oh yeah, because so when I talked to those, thank you. When I talked to those 3 different ones, I asked them about that, and they said, no, we haven't shipped anything out of Portland. And at that time, which was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they hadn't shipped anything out in 10 years.
Yeah. So, okay, let me go back to numbers, and this will relate to a little bit of things. So a lot of plastic historically has gone to like maybe 5 to 10% recycled. A lot of it burned or put in landfills, and a lot of it was actually exported to other countries. China in 2018 before 2018 did a lot of importing, India has done a lot of importing, but in 2018, China started to ban importing because they are starting to have their own like self-efficient economy, right? And they're not relying on our production. And that goes into a little bit of tariffs and so forth and so on. But here's the thing. And I'll ask you, Troy, like we'll get into more specifics, Dan, with like the technical side, but Troy, when growing up, it sounds like recycling wasn't a big part of your growing up in childhood. For us coming from Illinois, it was, right? But it seems the more and more you look into it, the main reason to recycle is to feel good about yourself. Like it feels good. It makes you feel like you're helping, like I'm doing my part. I've seen people who have like washed out like peanut butter jars, right? Like I need to do this and recycle. That peanut butter jar is probably going to the recycling facility and getting thrown in the trash. But Troy, you said this story about how like you've seen the trash, like the trash people just come up and throw in the recycling in the same spot, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Seattle was like that, where each homeowner had to sort their trash into the different recycles. There's signs saying, make sure your trash is clean. So hence cleaning out that empty peanut butter bottle and other containers. And then once a week, this truck will come and just put every single one of those items in the same truck. Every single one of those cans is split, sorted, recycling, all that. So then it just gets remixed anyways.
Yeah.
And then, like Dan was saying, if it gets mixed in with some greasy other stuff that's not as clean, then all of it has to go to the landfill. Yeah. But so I grew up in southern Utah. It was not a very big city.
Sure.
I have noticed that the big cities tend to spend more money on those recycling programs. So growing up in southern Utah, they just had a landfill. There weren't any recycling process or incentives in place, and so I just never heard about it. It was second nature to just throw everything away.
Yeah, and
cans, plastic, metal, wood, all that.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, and we could probably have several episodes on landfills. Landfills are extremely efficient. We use them, for natural gas, and they're somewhat of like an engineering, like marvel. Yeah. And they're really good. Like we have a lot of room on the earth. I talked about this last week, but the United States alone, you could put the whole world's population in probably like a small northeastern country, the whole world population, and have like fill up the whole United States with trash for like 100,000 years, and we still wouldn't even touch a big percentage of it. But I know, Dan, you and I growing up in the Illinois area, like recycling was like you had to recycle. I remember like going to, and this was like in the mid 2000s, like going out to like a fast food restaurant. There was like recycling, there's glass, there's plastic. And I guess technically sorting that could help increase the efficiency rate of recycling, but you do it because it feels good, right? Like I'm doing my part, but essentially we're just throwing everything away anyways, which in my personal opinion is okay. Like we have a lot of stuff on this earth, You
brought your big spoon to stir it up today, huh?
It's okay. That's the thing.
Yeah, you just said it's okay to throw everything away. And depending on how many people see this, over half of them are going to go,
yeah. We have a lot of stuff, We have a lot of plastic. Like, I'm not saying just throw crap out your window of your car, right? But if you throw everything...
Which people do.
Like, yes, if you put plastic in the forest, it's going to take 10,000 years to go away, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying we can put stuff in landfills. Anyways, I want to get into this idea of using our trash in a different way, specifically when it comes to recycling. So, Dan, do you want to explain just quickly the process of how we get plastic and what we can use plastic for? So plastic, you said, is from petroleum. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So we pump oil out of the ground.
Yep.
and there's a lot of byproducts that come from that, right? So the distillation centers, like driving through the south side of Chicago out towards Joliet, right? You drive under, there's places where there's big pipes and these, big massive facilities with pipes going everywhere. Those are distillation plants where they get raw oil pumped out of the ground. It gets filtered, it gets heated in a big vat, and then as it's boiled off, different streams are pulled off at different temperatures and reboiled. And all they're doing is taking raw oil pumped out of the ground and then pulling different streams off of it and then using those to make different products.
Yeah.
Right? Like even Vaseline, a lot of people don't know this. It's called petrolatum jelly, right?
Yep.
That
Petroleum
comes
jelly.
that comes from the drilling process.
Yeah.
That comes out of the earth, and then people slather it on their skin. And they're like, if you're worried about microplastics, right? Because you hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, especially now. Oh, you got plastic in your brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're right. But you got petroleum coursing through them. So, like, yeah, people use chapstick and they use petroleum jelly, and they they use triple antibiotic ointment,
Right.
like Neosporin, if we're going to throw brands out there.
Sure.
They use these items, but if you look at the contents, those are all things wrapped up in petroleum jelly.
Yeah.
So like you're rubbing oil in your wound, basically. Like
Yeah.
Can you believe people used to use that for sunburn relief too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can use petroleum jelly for like burns and wounds, and
it makes it worse though. Like
So my point to that was like, there's a lot of petroleum isn't just gasoline for your car.
Right.
It isn't just diesel for your pickup. It isn't just lubrication for anything that reciprocates, for any rotating thing, right? It's not just WD-40 or,
right.
It's not just those things. The petroleum market is vast, as well as like some pharmaceutical drugs come from it. So I was gonna have a fancy name for it and I couldn't. I lost the tab.
So,
but it's the amount of stuff that comes from it is crazy.
Now, a little insight into our history for Sasquatch gun oil. A few years ago, we realized our oil, which is made from used cooking oil, and we take our own process, we filter it, etc., etc. Our oil kind of degrades some plastic. So like the bottles that we started with started to warp and like leak through the small holes and pores of the plastic, and our labels started coming off. And I remember talking to you guys and like, Danny, Troy, like these bottles, what's going on?
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
They suck.
And we spent, I don't know, 6-9 months. We're like, which one works? Like, is it LDP?
I would say the better part of a year.
Yeah.
The better part of a year.
HDPE, PET. And eventually we found out we need PET, like a specific type of plastic. Otherwise, if it's LDPE, it's a very thin plastic. Our oil will essentially go
density
and like start leaking.
Yeah, it's because it's porous. That's
right.
What the deal is.
The HDPE does the same thing. It just takes longer. But the PET is like, okay, we're good. Like it's shelf ready. We can send it to people. And I remember going through this process, like it sucked, right? Like we were trying to get like cheap stuff through China, and like they didn't, they would. I remember talking to you, Troy, right? Like they sent us the wrong thing.
The bottle threads, like the neck threads, were different sizes.
Yes, yeah, like it's leaking through the tops. What were you saying, Troy?
The colors wrong with the logo. The print was wrong.
Yeah. Fun fact for anyone out there who thinks they know about like importing and exporting and tariffs, we have had experience with it as an actual company, okay? And
Yeah,
I can tell you this, in like getting stuff from the US is more expensive, but way better, way better.
The quality is just
Yeah.
vastly
You get what
different.
you pay for.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and
it's quicker. It's quicker.
Yes, it's quicker. You don't have to wait for it to get on the freaking boat, and like
the slow boat from China.
Yeah, literally
30 miles an hour, 30 knots an hour.
But anyways, literally, like we have this oil and we have this plastic that we have to deal with, and we have to throw all that crap away, right? Like talking about recycling, it was not a conversation for us. But
well, to that point, just so that we have some solid numbers for people listening, so we get used cooking oil, right? So for 40 gallons of our product, we've reduced the waste down to 4 gallons. So we're recycling 10% of things that were already getting thrown out or dumped. People were dumping this stuff down the drains.
Yeah.
Like, just for some numbers, Klamath County in the first quarter of the year had blown through their entire annual budget taking care of the drain network in Klamath Falls proper.
Yeah.
From all the oil that restaurants were dumping down the drain.
Well, that's where I want to talk about that a little bit more, because I said basically like, yeah, it's okay if you throw away your garbage, and you don't recycle it. However, Troy, tell us a little bit more about our process. And Dan, you started to talk about it, like the drains and oil, but like, tell us, just go in a little more in depth, Troy, of like, if we were to go to a restaurant or whatever to take their oil, tell us just how that would look.
It would literally be pumping it out of their tanks into like Dan wants to build out a truck with a tank on it and a vacuum, and so we kind of like a Simpsons episode, you just go to these restaurants and just take the oil from them and and then we bring it back to our place and recycle it. We have our own proprietary method to it. Dan's the creator. Honestly, you should be asking him. He's the one who has the knowledge about it.
Yeah.
That's his little brainchild there.
So filtering basically is the biggest part of it, is getting all of the contaminants out of the used product before you convert it into what we do with it. And the really cool thing about it is, right, like we grew up thinking that we were recycling, but now we're actually doing it.
Yeah.
We're making a dent for every, I guess we could have been keeping tally all along from like how many gallons we save from not only the drains in Klamath County, but also, from being thrown out in the landfill where that grease is they won't be able to, even if it gets, if they put it in the same load with recycling, they'd end up throwing that whole load away once it got there.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because like, we're not the people who you might think are proponents of recycling necessarily. I mean, I literally said you could throw all your crap away. But I mean, if you like we watched a video and a lot of people may or may not know this, but the whole idea of recycling is a corporate idea that was taught to us by plastic manufacturers, and the idea was like, people started figuring out we're throwing a lot of stuff away. And so plastic manufacturers are like, let's just say recycle it, and that will calm everyone down. And then like politicians kind of grabbed onto it, and it became like
before it got to the politicians, it had to go through the lobbyists, and they had to figure out how to sell it to them.
Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. And now it's part of your identity, like I recycle, like reduce, recycle.
Someone once told me and Crystal, when we lived in Missouri and we didn't have a recycling can. Yeah. Someone said, well, it's okay that you throw everything away. We'll save the world for your kids. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
What? I was livid.
And that's what people think, like I'm saving the world, when guess what? You're probably 5% of the crap you're throwing away, maybe 10% is like maybe 10% is
that's a good day.
Yeah.
That's a good day.
Yeah. And so all this crap you're throwing away, like nothing's really doing with it. We're probably selling it to Indonesia, and they're literally like, think about this.
Burning
if
it.
you recycle, probably 10 to 15% of your crap ends up at like some dirt poor country, right? Where like people live like with tin walls, and your garbage is probably in there. I'm not saying don't recycle because of that, but when you feel good about saving the world, these people's backyards probably have your trash in it. Now, if you did put it in the trash bin, it would go into our own landfills, and we would reuse that energy. That's technically more recycling than anything. But every time you recycle probably 100 bottles, a few of those are going into like some poor child playing soccer in Indonesia, running around your trash. And that's just a fact. Like, it's kind of sad, but if that's what makes you feel good in the end, okay, go for it.
By all means, separate it out.
But Dan, I'll throw it back to you. So you talked about some of like reusing plastic and returning it into energy. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Not just energy too. So there's a couple of different companies that will take plastic, and it's plastic to fuel. And I put some of them in there. We'll have some links to some different ones if people are really curious. The thing is, because it came from petroleum, you can distill it and turn it back into a petroleum product, because it's still a petroleum product.
Yeah.
So there's a guy that kind of got some viral. I'm gonna really date myself here. Some people say he went viral. Just a bunch of people watched what this dude had to say on like TikTok and some of these other platforms. But he was turning plastic into fuel, and that all comes from a couple of these different companies that started doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And if it burns, you can probably make fuel out of it somehow if you can light it on fire, like wood, right? Wood gasification is a thing. During the Second World War, 2.5 million internal combustion engines ran off of wood gas, off of charcoal. GMC in 1952 made a 2.5-ton truck that ran on charcoal. And it's not like they're dumping charcoal dust into the cylinders. It's creating a gas. Like most people would be familiar with a CNG bus, compressed natural gas driven bus, or a propane driven forklift, where that's a gaseous state fuel that goes into the intake, not to burn, not a liquid state fuel.
Yeah.
So you can take wood byproducts and put them in a oxygen deprived environment, and then pump that off to be burned in an internal combustion engine. Interestingly enough, I'll look for the article, but NASA had a plasma incinerator down in Florida, and they powered, I think it was for 2 years.
Yeah.
They powered a town burning trash. They burned through an entire landfill. And all that came out was inert carbon, and the exhaust that came out, they measured for 2 years, and it wasn't bad at all. It was way less than a coal power plant. So
yeah.
If we really think about it, like you're saying, it would actually be profitable for us to throw those things out and run, because every town has trash.
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, like a landfill could be better. Troy, what were you going to say?
So that landfill mining, I know we had talked about it on this since you hit record, but I sent these guys a paper I did in college.
Yeah.
And It was about landfill mining. That's tapping into exactly what you were talking about. Dan, you were talking about the inert matter. It could be used for asphalt, for roads, for making paver blocks, for home construction, something along those lines, because it's just this. But that paper talks about all of that too. So it's going to be the future, I think. Once they invest more into the landfills, they're going to end up mining it. And sorting through it and repurposing it.
This Iran deal would have to drag on a little longer, and gas has got to get high enough that people stop buying it and they figure out, okay, we got to do something different now. Because they have all these technologies.
Yeah.
And the trash ain't going anywhere.
No. And I don't know, electric cars are the answer to that too, because gas is going up. So then they're talking about buying an electric car that's, it costs twice, maybe 3 times as much as a regular car. So you're not saving money anywhere there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just coloring it at that point.
Speaking of Iran, first of all, Trump said it should be dying down within the next couple weeks. The was it Operation Epic Fury? So
wars are very unpredictable, so we'll see.
I actually
me and Troy we've been in for some time during these supposed short skirmishes, if you would.
Well, I think my point is like something that goes into the fuel. I actually wrote an article on Freedom Finances yesterday talking about gas prices and fuel and how the Strait of Hormuz, I think it's like 20% of the world's oil consumption flows through there. However, only about 15% of that oil gets to the West.
Right.
Something interesting is in the 1950s, people were paying about 27 cents per gallon. Now, a couple things to think about. First of all, you'd be like, when I was a little kid, we were paying 20 cents. I'll get there. I know what you're about to ask. 27 cents per gallon, which today, 27 cents is around $3.75 in inflation. So the national average as of yesterday was $3.71. So gas essentially is the same exact price as it's always been.
It's actually cheaper than it used to be, because down here in the lovely state of Florida, it's about $3.39. So,
well, it is cheaper because in the 1970s we had another gas crisis because of
the oil embargo.
Iran, of course.
Iran.
And gas spiked up to $1.50. And I know you're thinking like, oh, I wish we would pay $1.50. $1.50 now, or then was $7.20 now. So
yeah,
that's California.
You don't want $1.50 prices from then now. Yeah,
no,
but go ahead, Troy.
Sorry. That proves that with inflation, the percentage that you're paying of your income is about the same, going all the way back to the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
The 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, to today. You're paying
That's why
roughly
inflation
the same
is so
share.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but the income's gone up with it. So it's not like it's just inflation, just gas has gone up and everything's stagnated and your income's stagnated. No, you're paying the same percentage on average as Americans always have.
Yeah. Gas is inelastic, which means it doesn't matter how much money you need or money you have to buy gas, right? Yeah. It's not no,
it's energy.
It is economically inelastic, right? We will it'll slowly change based on poverty, but especially in the United States, we're always going to consume the same amount of gasoline generally, and generally that number will go up. It's inelastic
as a percentage. Yeah.
So I'll roll this back into some information. We kind of talked about the doomsday clock. In January 27th, the doomsday clock was set at 85 seconds to midnight, the closest it's ever been to midnight in history. Essentially, what happens at midnight, if it hits midnight, essentially it's a world catastrophe. The world is essentially over. And Troy, you and I were talking about this or a little bit in chat between podcasts. that essentially climate change is one of the major things
Yeah.
that has to do with the like the when it comes to
The doomsday
recycling and
clock.
the
Yeah.
doomsday clock. Climate change is a big one, right? In
Sure.
Michael Crichton wrote Jurassic Park, which we know the movie of, but basically he wrote like an introduction to the book saying like, how arrogant do we have to be as humans to think that we can just control the Earth, a planet floating in
Yeah.
space
Yeah.
in a solar system, that we can just end it if we wanted. We can end each other, right? Like we can blow the crap out of each other, but we're not going to
But
make.
we still wouldn't cease to exist. There's not
You're
enough
right.
munitions
Yeah.
To
and
destroy the
and
Earth.
black
Yeah.
powder on the Earth unless you could get everybody in one
Right, yeah.
central area, and you're still gonna
But
get some people that survived.
and that still won't destroy the Earth.
Yeah.
Right? The Earth will be fine even after that happened.
Yeah.
If it were to happen.
Yeah. And so, Troy, it comes back to that idea of like climate change, plastics. Like, how do I make this sound rational and that we're not just a crazy far right wing, gun conservatives, MAGA people?
Gun toting, Bible
Yeah.
thumping.
Yeah. How do I make this sound reasonable? Because I have data and fact and history in front of me, but I sound like a crazy person. So Troy, uncrazy it a little bit for our audience.
I can't, because it's always been normal. People have always been the type to throw away and then recycle, right? So recycling has always been a second thought that took more effort. It always did. So, I mean, you go back to the cavemen, right?
Yeah.
They always threw away what wasn't of use.
Yeah.
They just threw it away out the cave, right? It's something that, no, you're not crazy for just saying throw everything away, right? And recycle.
Well, the other thing is this. Let me pop in with this, right? The Depression. There's some Depression era mindsets that stay with families.
Sure.
And I'll give you an example. I bet each of us in our homes have something that somebody considers disposable that we will not get rid of.
Okay.
And that we reuse all the time.
Okay.
So in the Depression, people were, like washing plastic bags and like reusing things that were definitely single use items.
Sure. I get what you're getting at.
But and it all follows this ebb and flow of, okay, I'll go out to eat. Oh, we're actually, for whatever reason, maybe we went out to eat more last month or less, whatever it is, our disposable income is lower this month, so we're going to just eat in.
Yeah.
And maybe I look at it differently. We're a single income family. We are raising 3 kids. People say that that's impossible. Both parents have to work. You can't do it on a single income. Well, we're proven going on 18 years now that that's not true.
Right.
You can do it on a single income family.
Sure.
Troy, and you see, like, sure, we drive older vehicles, but you've come over, right? Like, I'll say God's amazing in the fact that just everything that we need is good, whether it be through wisdom that he's imparted to us, understanding, whatever the deal is. We're doing it, but I don't understand this thought process of you have to have 2 people working, which creates this disposable environment in which, you have to go get stuff, which means you're going to have to throw it away. Like,
those are the people also driving the Lexuses and the Audis and, the very expensive vehicles to work and getting that not $5, but like a $7 or $8 mocha coffee a day, and having that $150 a month gym membership that they use maybe once a month. And, all of that, right? Whereas if you cut all of that fat out, it makes it easier time to live off of one income for the household.
Brad, you made a comment about how you have to have gasoline. Do you have to have it, or did they develop an environment that we're all used to that you believe you have to have it, right? Because there are things that we think we have to have, but if you're forced to not have it, you'll find something else.
No, what I'm saying, as especially in the United States, as an American society, gasoline is inelastic, in which we will essentially always have it. And we've tried to have alternatives. We talked about this a couple weeks ago with electric. But like, you need it to get to work, right? You need your gasoline to get to work. One way or another. Either you drive your own car or someone else drives you, right?
It's the transportation component. It's a human desire to move around. Like, you can't just stay at home in one spot all day your entire life.
Yeah.
Even if someone lives and is born, raised, lives, and dies in the same community, they still need to get to the store and get to school and get to their job and deliver their kids to their friends' places. And so you're paying for the energy in that transportation.
Yeah.
Most of it comes in the form of gasoline. Now a bit of it's in the electric cars. You've got the diesel.
Right.
You've got the propane. You've got the compressed natural. One way or another, you're paying for it. It's the transportation.
My point is this, though. There are lots of towns in this country that you could live close to where you work. Your kids can walk to school. Not even just the 15-minute towns. You have to walk a bit farther, but you won't need a gym membership because you'll be walking 5 miles a day or better.
No.
Yeah,
right?
that's a very rare thing.
I think it's probably less rare than we think. We're just conditioned.
Hundreds of millions of Americans use transportation every day. Yes, I'm not saying that aren't a few small rural towns where people walk to work, right? I'm saying if you get 100 Americans, probably 98, 99 of them either have their own car or use a bus.
Especially in the U.S. Yeah. And even at that point, if everything is in walking distance, you're still buying shoes, which are made out of rubber and plastic, which is petroleum, right? So you're still paying for that transportation that comes from oil, from gas, from petroleum.
You're right in that aspect, for sure.
And then the asphalt and the concrete, it's all made out of petroleum products. So now you're walking on that too.
Yeah.
Plastic. Yeah.
Our houses, our pipes.
So back to your doomsday clock reference, right? So they're trying to tell us. And you said we were how much closer to midnight?
85 seconds to midnight.
85 seconds. So a minute and a half-ish.
Yeah.
To midnight, right? So we're in that sliver, right? Because we're talking like we're that close to a total breakdown of society or to the total death of civilization?
Death of civilization.
And that's when it gets down to zero. So 85 seconds is better than 60 seconds. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't in the Cold War, especially with the Cuban nuclear crisis, didn't it get down to like 20 seconds?
I don't know. Seconds? That's a really good question.
Because I'm pretty sure it's been a lot closer than 85 in the past.
Listen, it's mostly political. Like I'll read
that is the point I was trying to get at, which points back to our other episode of Operation Mockingbird.
Yeah.
They want people to think a certain way. So all you have to do, right? If we could, we have a snippet. Well, I don't know that we have it, but I can get it.
Sure.
Where when the COVID vaccine was rolling out, they said safe and effective about a million different ways. All over the radio, all over TV. Even if you didn't do radio or TV, it was on your YouTube ads. If you didn't use YouTube and all you did was use Spotify to listen to music, it was on Spotify ads. Right. In 3 years and 3 months, I might be able to talk a little more at liberty about some things that I saw during my time as an Air Force member.
Listen, I'll read a quick sentence. We're almost out of time, but I'll read a quick sentence or two sentences from the Doomsday Clock statement. A year ago, we warned that the world was perilously close to global disaster and that any delay is reversing course increased the probability of catastrophe. Rather than heed this warning, Russia, China, and the United States and other major countries, here's the big part, have instead become increasingly aggressive, adversarial, and nationalistic. That third word there, nationalistic, just proves to me that this is a political thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
Literally, this clock will change depending on if there's a Democrat or a Republican, which is absolute nonsense. I think
it is.
Even if you are somehow a liberal still listening to us crazy three 50 minutes into this, you have to know that that's nonsense, right? Like, I don't think any liberals are still listening if they ever were, but you have to realize like that's nonsense. Like, come on. We're almost out of time. I'm going to start with you, Troy, and then I'll go to you, Dan. So let's say I read off a bunch of these facts about how a lot of plastic is just put into the garbage or sent to a poor Indonesian country, or a poor Indonesian village, right? Where like the backyards or the rivers are filled with literally our trash. And it's not our trash because we throw it away. It's our trash because we recycle it. Let's say 500, 1,000 people hear that message. They see the facts. Of those 5,000 people who religiously recycle and as part of their identity after hearing my...
Religious is that's a good word for it. Religious that's a great word for it.
So after 1,000 people hear and see the facts, they don't just hear me, they go to the EPA and they see the information. How many of them will stop recycling after what they heard what I said, Troy? Out of 1,000?
I think all the ones that are like, I could, if that's true, and I've been wasting all of my time doing this, I mean, I can cut all that out and get all that time back. I couldn't tell you what percentage it is, but anyone who's where it's more convenient for them to just cut it out and stop.
You're too reasonable.
When they see it's a waste.
You're too reasonable, Troy.
Seriously though, if it adds a convenience to the people, they're gonna pursue it.
You're outweighing convenience with identity. That's what I like. Like for us three, that is completely reasonable. You're right, Troy. Like if I found that out today, that's how I would act. But the family that told Dan, I'll save the world for you, that's not their mindset, not convenience, right?
That's an extremist. That's that extremist version of recycling.
Yes.
Dan,
what about you? 1,000 people, they're the 1,000 neighbors like you had in Missouri. How many changed their mind?
That wasn't even a neighbor. And I know that the person that said that does not recycle all the time. So it was more an ironic statement.
Sure.
But I know that it was a statement it was a conviction statement. I'm going to say something so wild so that you'll at least take glass to work to throw it in the recycling glass bin at work, which I was doing at the time anyways. But aside from that, out of the 1,000 people, I've got some better numbers for you. I'm not as optimistic as Troy. In the ideology department, because we're talking about people that will drive a car that's 10 times more expensive just because someone in a commercial told them that it was better for them.
Yeah,
it's the brand.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Of the mining process that lithium mines have, right? They'll drive an electric car because your used gas car definitely is 1,000 times worse for the environment than my 10 times expensive lithium fueled having 10 times more plastic.
Yeah.
Definitely not very many recycled products. And the glue that's used to hold the stupid thing together, the process that makes that glue, get out of here.
It's funny because...
I'm saying...
Go ahead. Sorry.
50 of them are going to start a counter podcast. 100 of them are going to get petitions to get us closed down and some sort of like moral retribution.
Yeah.
Right. And then 700 of them are going to double down and make sure that they only use paper straws.
Oh, perfect.
And then
Oregon tried that.
And then the other,
it was a disaster.
There's 150-ish of them that are going to be like, every time they go to recycle it, they're going to be like, is it real? and they'll get their phone and they'll start to read. They'll relive the devastation all over again and recycle it.
Anyways, I think you're right. Honestly, like if you think of the judgmental neighbor watching you not put out your recycling bin, they don't care what the facts are. It's part of their
they're
identity.
going to come to your house and recycle for you.
Yes. All right, cue the music. We're out of time. That was our crazy, out of the world, based on fact podcast on recycling. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Bradley. You've got Dan and Troy. Go to SasquatchGunOil.org or SasquatchGunOil.com to get your oil today. Adios.
A true recycled product.
Actually true. Yeah.